Grants Beauty chat later on. We can start now. Now, before we start, I feel I should warn you, it's unlikely I will match my 27-minute record that I achieved in the last meeting. Just reading out the names of the grants applications will take longer than that. But, right, we don't at the moment have any members of the public. Are we expecting any?
No.
So we don't have to allow for question time. Is there anybody here, as you know, we'll be recording, but is there anybody here who wants to do additional recording?
Yeah.
No? Apologies for absence. We've had apologies from Mary, Kath and...
Councillor Bailey.
yes, Lawrence. Donald has a dispensation.
No,
Do we-
Donald's not in this meeting.
Oh, right.
No, he's not. He's in service provision, but
Do we acknowledge what they've said and accept their reasons? Yes? Thank you. Does anybody have any declarable interests in any of the things on, everybody, blimey. Right. Oh, right, okay. Does anybody in the room not have any declarable interests? Just we three, right. Will you shout when the item comes up that you've got to...
Yes. Yeah. Well, let's do it.
Oh, you want to do it now? Okay, Isaac, what's yours?
I'm a volunteer at the Homley Show.
Right,
I'm part of Friends of Homley trustee group.
right.
I'm also still down as being a trustee for Homley Village Community Trust, although I'm not anymore on the website. I'm not, but I need to put in a change of form. So at the moment on the form it says I am.
Strictly speaking, you sort of are.
Yeah.
Jane,
Shareholder of the tech.
and the tech,
That's the same for me.
and for you. Right.
Can I just make an observation that in terms of our standing orders and so forth, because this is, about financial grant giving, where people have declared an interest and whether things are in your DPI or not, if there are any of these organisations that have put in for grants that you have an involvement with, it is important to declare. And it does say in our standing orders that you will take no part in the discussion or the vote and that you will withdraw. So I think as a committee you should be considering whether actually, when those specific grants are discussed, whether the people who declared an interest should leave the room.
Okay. Yep. Joe, what's yours?
my son plays for Hepworth Football Club, but I don't have anything to do with anything other than that than paying a subscription to him to play, for the kit and stuff.
I doubt if that counts.
But I'd like to just let you know, because I
Is
don't.
that an interest that we have to get Joe to
I
leave?
think it is, yes.
You think it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to be
Okay,
quite
so
clear.
when these items come up, I will ask you to leave the room.
I think you should
read everything
declare.
there, but I don't really have any connection with anything anyway, so hopefully that's me.
I know you're on that floral crafting thing.
But they won't all be out at the same time. They'll be out.
I'm only interested in beauty classes, obviously.
Okay.
Pleasure.
Councillor Holmes,
And
you've got some
my
more
grandson also
Jenny,
plays
do
for
you want to-
Hepworth Football Club. but
What does it?
Yes. Do I need to declare that?
I think that's a bit of a
I think that's the stretch, because I actually pay him money, don't I? You don't pay him money, so.
So cheers. Just asking really why we need to go outside. If we just
So you don't hear the conversation.
And also not affecting decisions.
Yeah, that's like, it's
You could go and
Yeah.
you could go and tell other people.
You could threaten me, Jane. This is so recorded anyway, isn't it?
It's fine.
Yes, I mean there's nothing to stop you watching the YouTube afterwards.
Yeah.
But I suppose in the event that you had an interest in something we decided to discuss, not recorded then. Any more declarations that people are dredging up from their boots? No? Are there any new DPI? No? Is there anything on the agenda that anybody feels should be discussed in private? No? Okay, the minutes of the previous meeting, are you happy that they are accurate? Yes, hands up. Thank you. Grants. The first one is to note the rolling list of all grants, which you've had them for a while. If you have questions, please ask, but there's not much to discuss about them. And then the point, subsection 2, the rolling list of grants against budgets. Noted?
Yeah.
The list of F&M grants being considered at this meeting against the budget lines. Well, we will do that as we go on. The newly completed evaluation forms, and to note those, I thought they were pretty good. I thought they looked good. And, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to raise a point?
Just want to say it's great to get feedback and
Yes.
that something positive has been achieved.
Yeah.
Just agree with you.
And then to consider how
Are we any outstanding?
we've
Yeah,
got one.
well, in terms of the ones being considered today, I haven't had one back. Oh no, that's untrue actually. With regard to the Haydedge Residents Association, they haven't returned them. Remember, we gave them money for a marquee and something else. But basically, what they've said is they haven't spent it yet. They're trying to come to some arrangement with a football club about getting the electricity to it. So she sent me an email explaining why, and I said, okay, it sounds reasonable.
Well, if they haven't spent it yet, they can hardly send us evidence
No,
that they've done it.
I think it was unreasonable.
Yeah.
Thing is though, that grant we gave for a marquee probably won't pay for power for 5 minutes to run it, will it?
Possibly.
And the other one that's outstanding is the bus, but we'll come back to that because we discussed that at service provision as well.
Is the what, sorry?
Isn't it? Didn't you? Are we still trying to get it from the hospital transport?
Oh, that. Oh, sorry. Yes. Yeah.
So we are to consider how this committee receives future notifications of grant evaluation reports to enable due diligence.
Yeah. I mean that was part just because of the discussion that came up at the grants working group, where I think certainly Councillor Blacker was saying, because they're quite hefty, aren't they?
Yeah,
In terms of the amount of
And we were
photographs.
talking about having shorter ones. Yeah.
Well, no, it wasn't necessarily about that. It was about whether they need to be shared to this meeting, or whether they could just be shared to the chair to review them, and then they're all uploaded to the website anyway. So
Yes.
you will all have the opportunity to look on the website at them. But it's whether you're creating these huge data-heavy
Yeah.
Emails.
emails and
Well,
documents.
I think it's a good suggestion that we just get a summary and then we go to the web to look at the evidence. I think you're right. You, the chair, and you need to.
Well, I think everybody should have a look at it, but I just think perhaps sharing it in the paperwork.
Yeah, it doesn't
a
need.
bit cluttered, really. I don't know, but it's for you to.
Does anybody disagree? Do people feel content to get just lists and use and not have it all included in an email?
Yeah, I remember that, 'cause it's like how we're doing
Anybody
it, isn't it?
bothered about that?
Right now, I'm more interested in the ones we don't get.
Well, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Or you can obviously see those on the website as well, because they are, they're all listed, and some of the ones we've got, you click on them and the evaluation comes up. If they haven't, then it doesn't. So they should all be clear.
And then to note that we'll be sending out grant evaluation forms, well, now,
Yeah, they've gone.
for the remaining, for the remaining groups who haven't yet had them. Okay, and then the last point in that section, grant section, is the grants working group. It has met. Each member has been allocated a task. Our next meeting is on the 15th of March. And to look at everybody's what they've done by then, we're circulating them before the 15th of March. We'll discuss each other what we've put in, each bit we've picked off, pull it together, And that may well be the last meeting. I mean, the chair at that point, when we've discussed all the different sections that people have sent in and come to some agreement on them, the chair, which is me, will write it up. And then there may be a final Zoom meeting of the subgroup, or preferably we can do it by email, because we'll probably have discussed most of it in the Zoom meeting, the last one. So the intention is to be submitting it to the next F&M meeting, which is April the 15th. But we made reasonably good progress. We were all very clear what we needed to achieve and all the rest. So that's in hand. We'll be coming back to you with a report. Grant applications. We might, while we're looking at these, consider whether they should become rolling applications. We did this in service provision the other night, and there were several where we all went, yeah, that should be a rolling one. Because you will remember, although rolling ones aren't automatic, they're much simpler. All they have to do is update their financial details rather than put in a full application, explain why Christmas lights need to be Christmas lights or whatever, you know. So as we go along, we can consider which of these could become a rolling grant. So we start on Upathon.
Can I just make a point about how much? Well, I just want to make a point about how much money we've got.
All right.
So in terms of the projects and events, we've got £7,251, and there's about £10,000 worth of money in the applications. So we need to deal with potentially moving some of that. And then in terms of the community assets, we've got a pot of £20,000 and 40 pence, and there's about £29,000 on the application. So again, we have to manage that.
Well, can I ask a question, Chair? When we had our last grant meeting, we didn't give all 100% grant money to everybody, did we?
No.
Maybe that would be like a way forward.
Yeah.
If we thought they were suitable, could we put them to one side as a reasonable percentage, you know, like possible all or possible half, and then revisit them? But you know, Richard, you'll have to be on it calculator-wise, won't you, to make sure we haven't overspent.
So you mean instead of deciding what proportion to give as we go along, just say we'll give only part, and then when we've looked at them all, you'll have been doing mental arithmetic in between.
It won't be mental.
It will be on the calculator.
Are you happy? Sorry?
Could I raise a couple?
Yes.
If Joe's done.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, 2 or 3 things. Late applications, with a couple of late applications which might help the financial situation. I just wondered if we had any precedents here. Have we kept into touch before, or have we considered?
We've tended to consider them, to be honest. I don't think we've ever kicked them to touch.
I don't remember ever saying, sorry, you were too
No.
late.
I mean, they were quite different, these two. I mean, the Homebridge Cricket Club was only like a day late, whereas the Homley Show one was, I mean, we got the final paperwork turned up about 2 weeks late.
Cool. Well, I'm not being funny about like cycle storage. What's that?
I just think
We can argue
if we
about
have
it
precedents
against
for
it.
doing it, then I guess we've got to consider them.
It's,
It just
well,
felt like
I
an
mean,
easy way out
if
for
it's
£5,000.
one day, I'd feel quite bad about ruling them
And
out.
one of them is 1 day.
And one of them is one day. If it's a substantial time, we can. Well, when we get to each one,
Okay.
we can talk.
We can ask
I
you.
certainly think it should be part of the dialogue, whether you create a blanket ruling or not about it. I think it should be part of the dialogue, and whether it's something the working group considers, whether we have it's a very strict
Yes.
line in the sand.
Actually, yes.
And I think in the past, the reason we've not done it in the past is that we've had some very worthwhile applications that
Yeah.
have come in late. We thought, well, I don't really want to not be.
Yeah, there was
These
one
poor-
from
these
yeah,
poor
there was
orphans.
one from Burley Court where they wanted to have a coronation tea party and they didn't know there was a deadline. And I mean, nobody wanted to turn that down. They wanted about 20
They didn't know
quid
the
or something, you know. Sorry.
They didn't know when the coronation was.
It was
I
it wasn't. It was a platinum tea party. It wasn't a coronation.
My second point was with a number of multiple applications, and I wonder how we deal with those.
Have a
Rather
number.
than doing them
One by one, I think, because they're for separate things. I went through them this afternoon. We can consider them all when we've done them, but we'll go by one by one.
Okay. And the last point was on the budget, which Richard already raised.
We've got
There's
no money.
not enough money for all these, so.
So, just to go back to the point Councillor Lyles raised, are you happy with this change in our usual procedure to say that'll be part and come back to them at the end? Okay.
Except that some of them.
I think we wanted to make
Just on that one, Chair, if we're going to go back to it now, obviously, because people might be asked to leave the room, and then obviously we go back to them, discuss the costs afterwards, then they'd have to go again.
Right.
That's because of the yo-yo problem
Yeah,
in the
you're
room.
right,
so
you're right, it doesn't.
So I sort of meant.
Hang on, Joe. Are you going back to guide us?
Well, what you could say is if people are leaving the room when you are deciding whether you're going to approve a grant or not, then the latter discussion is really not about individual grants, but about the percentage overall that you're going to give, whether it's going to be.
No,
Well, some of them you may say are 100%, some you may say is 50.
Right.
Yeah,
I think
it'll
we have to do
vary.
it in order. And I don't think we can do what Joe said.
Right, okay, well,
That's fine.
okay.
I mean, we can obviously tweak, you know, we'll get to the end and we might find we've still got money left or we haven't got enough money, we can tweak at that point.
Yes, at that point we are allowed to revisit things we've agreed if we all agree we wish to. So we can do it that way. Okay, so where are we? The first one, Aberthorn Cricket Club. I had a couple of queries on this one, but I don't know whether anybody else has. No? Mine was on the section 3, their expenditure is hugely much bigger than their income. How are they safe to lend to? Their expenditure's 30 grand and their income's 12, and their reserves are 2. I can show the thing. So, I don't know what, do you want to look at
No,
that?
I'll
Okay.
provide it, yes, I don't mind.
And my second question, which is, I'm sure there's an explanation for that, otherwise they wouldn't exist, would they? If they were losing 20 grand a year, they wouldn't be asking for this much. My other question is, you may remember that we agreed limitations on grants and that sports clubs would only be given grants if it was benefiting people beyond the players and and their families and spectators and members.
What did we do? Did we agree that? I don't remember agreeing that.
We did, we've agreed it at full council, never mind.
I know we've agreed it about schools, and I'm not sure.
No, we did about
You owe
schools.
that, Jim.
No, not.
I remember it about schools.
Can I just say?
Well, it was
it
in that
was
document.
in the document, and
Yeah.
I don't know whether that document from January 23 went through full council.
Yes,
or
it
not.
did.
It
That
went
document
through
of
full
January
council.
23 was approved by full council and it's in there.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, in fact, I've
So
got
what-
a
so
copy
what-
of it here,
So, what we were saying was, if a cricket club, we've got one, is asking for a cricket net or bats or improvements to changing rooms, sadly, nowadays, and we have in the past, but the answer will be no. If they are asking to improve a facility where children can have parties or other people come in or it's a function room that they hire out, we would seriously consider it. But as far as I can see from this grant, it's entirely the users of the cricket club, the members and the players of the cricket club. Jane.
Yeah, can I also comment on cricket clubs really in general? We seem to have a lot of requests for grants for cricket clubs.
Yeah,
And
they
I'm
won't
not
come to
really-
us as a thought. About 5 years ago, they discovered us.
Yeah, I'm not saying that we should give it or not, but I guess again, what you're saying is how inclusive
Yeah.
is that? I mean, largely is men and boys benefit from
I mean,
cricket, and I know that's
Yeah,
not
no, I agree, but it's not just, that's irrelevant. We made a decision as a council not to give unless it was going to the wider community. It doesn't matter what gender they are. We might give money to the Girl Guides. You know, we could give money to single sex things. In
And I
theory.
added up, there's something like
But-
13,000, 14,000 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, we've given to cricket clubs who were, and we would still consider if it was something like disabled access or something. Yeah, if it's something of that sort, it's different. But this, Councillor Lyons and Councillor Kirby.
Can I just say, if they are changing the carpets though, to make it more aesthetically pleasing, so you can then hire the cricket club out to do, because most clubs do hire the venue out to generate income, maybe it would be worth asking them to re-evaluate the application and submit it next time with a bit more information
What they're going to do
about
to
what they're
attract
going to do
users.
to attract wider community, instead of just going, you know, because it might be that they are trying to reinvent themselves for some form of income, additionally to just cricket. I'm not against cricket, either way.
No, nobody. Okay, we can. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to go back to the, you know, what was said in terms of awarding grants only when they have a wider community focus. Now, I'm still not clear about that one. I remember in the past, we turned down applications from, I think it was Honley Cricket Club, because what they wanted was something that we felt the cricket club should have supplied themselves, because it was for something
For cricket.
that you needed to play cricket. Now, and what we were funding was things that were wider than cricket. It was for chairs and, you know, things in the clubhouse. You know, because obviously you know, in the last couple of years we've done toilets, we've done kitchens, we've done all sorts of stuff in sports clubs. So I don't quite understand where that viewpoint is coming from, because that is not what we're doing then.
But no, we have in the past given to cricket clubs for purely cricket things.
That's a different point.
But we decided in that document of January 23 not to anymore, unless it was going to benefit the wider country. No, the wider.
But we gave a lot of grants last year to sports clubs.
No, but they weren't just for equipment. They weren't. For,
No, they weren't just for equipment.
Yeah,
but that's a different thing entirely than benefiting the community. You're still benefiting cricket players and the club.
They're claiming here.
Look, Councillor Kirby, what was your point?
It says within the application that it's the area they want to do is clubs used for extracurricular functions and used to provide a function area for local people to have private events.
All right.
And there's another statement in total capacity where it talks about presentation events, parties, club socials, etc. So it implies they are using it for more than just a cricket club.
Councillor?
Yeah, but there's this paragraph here, the local population will benefit through the improved environment.
Yes, I suppose.
Well, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
No, what I'm saying is
That's a
that they see
bit-
regular visitors to the club and they expect it to increase if it's more attractive.
Just for later, I know obviously we're going to get through this today, but can we get some clarity on that for the minutes for future, so we can look at what so we can get our parameters down, because obviously we're going to spend a lot of time.
The grants
deciding
working group can look at that. We can
Perfect.
say what sorts of things are beneficial to the wider community.
Perfect, thank
Yeah,
you.
and we'll come and we'll add that to their agenda. Hang on, let me write this on to note.
I thought there was a slight oddity in this one as well. Isn't there? They're asking for less than the total cost. But the things that they've put in just seem to be tables and chairs, which seems a bit random, as if they've said, oh, let's stick them in it. With part of the building.
Yeah. And this thing, we've still got this thing about their income appears to be substantially lower than their expenditure.
I mean, we can have a
we
look.
don't want to
We've got their accounts. We can have a look.
Right. I think we should check the.
You will send the accounts.
Sorry?
Were you not saying the accounts?
Oh, probably was. I'll give them. Are they here? No, I don't think they're here.
No, they won't be. They all came in separate emails.
Ah, right. Ah,
Are you not aware of even getting them? You got like 20 separate emails.
oh, right. I assumed they were just an early version of these.
No, that's where all the financial pay, that's
right.
the
Right. I haven't, right. In
That's-
which case I haven't.
right, okay.
But we need to establish that we can lend to them. I mean, if they're in a financial position to be loaned to.
Could I just ask them, well, Richard's working on there, how much they've had recently, have they had other grants apply for and obviously receive other funding? Because I'd just like to personally like to see it spread across the valley. So
No,
that
no,
No, I don't think they have.
it's not,
They have, yeah, they have. Where is it?
it's not a prerequisite for giving it to them, but I think that we spread the wealth of it.
It's in the application.
They had outdoor furniture last year. Nothing, and now you have.
I mean, we do give more than once. We don't have a rule saying you can only make one application. They haven't been back and back and back and back.
Yeah.
Shall we leave it? Shall we vote on it, assuming that the finances are okay?
Let me have
Or do you have a question?
Can I just sort of say, the carpet looks perfectly good to me. It's just been judged aesthetically. I mean, it just seems a lot of money to me. And I almost want to visit that club and see the state of that.
We don't do that. We don't do that.
Okay.
So the sample with
Just to see,
On Saturday.
I mean, in principle, I want our sports clubs to be inviting venues for the wider community. And, I want our cricket clubs to thrive. But it just seems a lot of money to me for a carpet.
But we don't pitch on a lot of money.
We could give them like 50%.
Yep.
And I suggest we give them 50%.
Proposal, don't we?
Oppose it.
We've got proposal, what's the job proposal?
You-
I propose 50%.
Happy to second.
Seconded by, all those in favour? Everybody. Okay, so
We're all
we'll give
going
them
on
50%.
Saturday. See, they're recording it. Can I have your money? But we want to see what we're getting at.
Jenny, the carpet inspector.
Okay, the next one is Honley Community
I'm
Trust.
going. I've been in and out like a
Oh, right.
yo-yo tonight. Where do I go? Just stand outside? Just go into the office, mate. You don't have a
You've no idea what people have on their desks. You can't just invade somebody's office like that.
You should just postcard.
It's enough.
I suggested Pilates, that was much less contentious.
Okay, grant application for Honley Community Trust for trees in Southgate Woods.
It says to take them down.
They've now got trees, they say in the application, in 64 locations, which is fantastic. I mean, they've achieved a huge amount in a very short space of time, these people. So, does anybody wish to object, propose? Okay, Andy?
Well, comment really. Couple of things. This is one of several applications, and I find it difficult to sort of look at them in isolation.
Well, there is a thing that we can ask Glenn about when he comes back in, but the community trust, as in the wood, is separating from the village hall trust, as in the village hall. And when that happens, it won't look quite as, at the moment, I think that's what Glenn meant when he said, I'm not a trustee, but I am technically. I think they've split.
Well, the Friends of Honley have split from
From the village
Community
hall,
Trust.
yeah.
But
And the youth is looking to come out as well.
yeah, but this particular thing, the Magdale and Southgate Woods, that they're still part of the Honley Village Community Trust. That's I haven't heard that they're going to be split.
Anyway,
Another thing is, when you look at the reserves of lot of reserves, and now they seem to be sort of indicating we need that for the dam. Now, I don't know how.
Yes, they do.
I don't
They
know.
do.
Do they need all of that?
Well, they've been told that's how much they've been told they have to have X percent. I mean, it's.
Do they not have any other reserves then? Is that it?
I don't think they'll.
And it's 100% grant again, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we can. Charles and then Joe.
So there's two big areas of expenditure for the Village Trust. One's that dam, but the other one is the close to getting completion of the asset transfer of the building from Kirklees. So they've got big plans. It's a concrete prefab at the moment.
I didn't know there was an asset transfer from Kirklees.
Yep.
When is that due to complete?
Oh, I don't know, I'm not part of it, I just know that it's happening. It's imminent, I would have said, sometime later on.
Well, the library was imminent for about 4 years, as I recall.
Well, this has been ongoing for a period of time, but obviously we're going to be sideways, aren't we? They've been asking for the asset transfer for about 8 years.
Yeah.
But I think they have to wait for the lease to expire. So there's plans to redevelop that site. The mill dam is quite a liability. But the Village Trust is multifaceted, so it's almost like an umbrella organisation. So there's been the Village Trust and all those community activities. There's Magdale Fields and Dam, which is more environmental schemes. There's the Friends of Honley, which was the has come out but was part of it. That's the clean-up bit. Then there was Honley Youth, which was another one. So it is a bit of an umbrella organisation. So I guess it's a kind of bit of it's the 3 other festivals rolled into one. It's and I think just bear in mind the membership of this council, in that Honley is the biggest part of this council with 6 members of the 23, and it kind of that reflects the population size. So the comparison with Greater Holmfirth, actually, well, we'll be pulling in half a dozen different organisations. It just happens to be that the Village Trust, they use their bank account, they use their admin to organise a lot of work.
Like, that's
And then
structured,
there's-
isn't it?
Yeah, but then there's like it says on there, there's like 70 active volunteers. They're not all active in everything. there's 6 or 7 different sections to it, if you like. So that's whenever we get the grants in, there's always a long list for the Village Trust, and they are from one end of the scale to the other, and that's the reason for that.
Can I just
Joe,
say
then
that?
Joe.
I appreciate that it's for trees, but there is a but to this. You can actually get trees for free from the Right Woods Forest.
Oh, sorry, this is an established woodland. This is Southgate Woods, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the back of Jason McCartney's house. It's a mature woodland area. So this isn't about planting. This will be about
It says
management.
It is about planting, but it's also
It's
about
about planting,
Well,
yeah.
it's also about
maintenance of it, right?
it's also about
Boundaries,
maintenance and
yeah.
cutting stuff down.
But, like, just like Jason to do. Like, but,
No, because somebody else owns it.
right, so my thoughts were, we could contribute, but obviously you can go to White Rose Forest even though it's established trees
We've got, it says on 105 trees coming from Woodland Trust
Yeah.
for free.
yeah, so that's
will
what I
be
mean, yeah, so
White
it won't be
Roses.
that, then these will be felling costs then, won't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've got to, is this the one where they've been told by Kirklees that there's risk of slippage and they've got to sort that out as well? I think it is.
I mean, this is for
Is this the one that Sylvia Kay owns the woodland and
Yeah.
and she's given it to the village? She's bought the woodland to stop it getting built on.
I want a wood,
Yes,
it's on my list of like,
Has given
It's
it.
going to be handed over.
It still belongs to her, but is being handed over to them.
So yeah, so just going down to part 7, which is the budget plan, it does say that the essential tree works for fell trees, T26 to T32, 48, G49, 52 and works that it's all felling costs is what it is. And to be honest, I was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trees felling and one trimming back. It's probably cheaper 264.
Yeah.
And then a bit below that does say, so this is a bit of, I'm always keen to see a co-contribution, because I don't think it's a bit easy just to put a bid in and say, write us a cheque. Well, the bit beneath it says they've already spent 1,560
Yeah.
quid on, so there is that bit already in the pot. But we haven't got the 50-50 thing as policy yet, have we?
We've already given 50% to net upathon.
No, but we don't
It's not
have
a
the
policy.
policy yet, do we? So,
No.
right.
Okay,
You can-
Damien, hang on.
Just for myself, a quick one on this one there. I think that the prices look quite realistic. Even though there's an umbrella group, all the prices seem fairly low. They don't seem to have tried to max out the budget and throw extras in there. It seems to be fairly well focused on what they want. So I would have got a proposal that they get 100% cut on there.
I'll second that.
Second that, all those in favour? Right, good. The next one,
And we tell
schools.
Glenn to come
Yeah.
back.
Glenn?
Oh, Glenn, you can come back.
Stay there all night.
I hope you've not been on TikTok.
No. So we just wanted to let you know if you can just stay there for another 10 minutes.
It's like blind date.
We've granted it, by the way, 100%.
So we had a sweepstake on Halloween staying there before wondering.
No, I was keeping an eye on what you were doing. When you started putting your hand up, I thought it'd be all.
We now move on to Scholes Cricket Club, and this is just cricket equipment.
Replacement.
Yeah,
It's a fence.
but it's just,
Safety net.
it's netting and a side screen, it's cricket equipment.
This is a safety net. I'm not a part of the club or affiliated to the club. It's basically the safety net which runs onto the housing area called boundary
To stop
courts,
it going
the
into
poles
windows.
and the nets that go on that one there. So
But that's a genuine cricket club expense. Jane?
Just looking at their income, they've got 150,000 income. Seems a good amount. 140,000 expenditure, reserves of 8,000.
I think they have to buy the building though, don't they, Kirklees?
it's currently
It's, and although they say on the application, and I'm sure it's true, that they've not had a grant from us in the last 3 years. 3 years and 10 minutes ago, they had £12,000 from us.
No, it says there they've had a grant.
That's Don's Bridge Cricket Club.
Oh, sorry.
So
Well, heck of the old one.
Anyway, I reckon this is cricket equipment.
So-
I don't see how you can possibly say,
in section 7, Scholes says that they've had, have you received a grant from the Parish Council the last 5 years? Yes. In 2023,
Sorry, I was
5,000
looking at the
towards
wrong
the refurbishment of the pavilion and the creation of female changing facilities.
Yeah, that's right.
but I think this is all just for players and members. And some houses who might get the windows broken.
Protected the neighbourhoods.
Joe then, Charles.
I appreciate it's a safety net to stop the balls from wrecking someone's house. I'm sure that the insurance companies will appreciate that. But they do a lot of stuff at the cricket club, you know, like they do the cricket, like
No, but they're asking for cricket equipment, Joe. And I've been to a function in Scottish Cricket Club. I know they have social functions, but what they are asking for is money for cricket equipment.
So is that a no then, but
Well, I think
sporting
We've turned down Honley Cricket Club for almost exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I was just going to. So I think what we've said in the past was if it's youth development or if it's coaching development, we're interested.
Right.
But I don't think these are hard and fast rules. But we've sort of
No,
said
they
if
are.
it's-
They were in that document agreed. You missed at the beginning. There was a document at the beginning of 23 passed by full council. We only give if it benefits the wider community.
So we said kids in coaching, so you know, but not for the, if you like, for the general bit, the adult bit, because they've got the subscriptions and the bands. But it is one of those of, it's not like the waste to me, is it, if you know.
Jane?
I never really got an answer to this question, but I just wondered how inclusive they are. How is it expensive to join?
No,
the club, or
absolutely
is it-
not. And they do this thing where they do, if you want to learn to do cricket, they do that all-star cricket thing where they send it out to all schools.
They all do, but none of the cricket clubs around here is the MCC. you know, they're all for lads and girls and
Yeah,
the
I mean,
public and all the rest.
every-
But we don't give bands instruments, and we don't give cricket clubs bats and sight screen.
We might need to add that to the application form, because I think that then it's.
Yeah.
Because then I think
We've had that in place since this document, and we have been doing that, because Haid Edge applied for instruments and trainer instruments, and we gave them money for the trainer instruments, but not the instruments.
Can
Jenny?
I just say that I do agree in principle what you're saying about no sports equipment, but I think the cricket clubs and the sports clubs deliberately keep their annual subscriptions for young people low.
Low, yes.
So to encourage everybody to be able to participate. So is that a fair thing to continue? You know, if we wanted to ensure that most of our young people have access to sport. I agree that we've already said that it shouldn't be for sporting equipment, but I just think maybe when we're looking again as a working party, we should check whether we think that is still.
No, we're not going to revisit things that full council agreed only a year ago. No.
Okay.
So,
We're not going to, I mean, we would if there was an emergency. I mean, you know, things change, but we've agreed that as a principle, and it should stay as it is for a while, because we're only just testing it out now and seeing how it works.
Yes,
So,
okay, yeah.
so if I may check, every single sports club that's affiliated to a national body,
yeah.
where they've got the channel section, will have the welfare and safeguarding bit, and all of those have measures to make sure that there's no financial exclusion. And the reason that
Is
it's
that the case?
yeah, but the reason it's not in your face is because they do it really quite discreetly. But they're absolutely clear, come along, and if there is any issues with that, it's normally dealt with on a one-on-one basis. So my son's team, there's probably 3-4 players who don't pay subs at all.
Right.
Within the team that we held sent to Spain, almost half the team were financially supported.
Yeah, good.
But we do, on this particular one, we have an exact precedent with Honley where we said no, and they were asking, I think,
More or
for
less the same
exactly,
thing.
they were asking for sight screens and safety nets. So,
I have no problem saying no, but all I'm saying is on the grant form, we must make it clearer,
Yeah.
because they won't waste the time then filling it in for that. They can use the money that they would have done on training equipment for the net and ask us for the training equipment, and then that would be a better grant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Andy,
Can I propose we say no and move on?
okay.
Next, I second that.
Seconded, all in favour? Thank
But
you.
I wondered if we could change the form to reflect
Yeah.
so it's clearer, because then they're not.
Well, let's leave it till the grants working party is finished, because there might be other things that affect the form, and then we can do one big change of the form, because we won't have another raft of applications till September. So, Haydedge residents, a village flower garden.
Can I just say that I think £4,000 is an absolute ridiculous amount of money for some flowers for what is a bit of wasteland. And it's my.
Well, do we agree with the principle of what they're doing, first of all? I mean, do people want to support that broadly? Jenny?
Yes, I
Yeah.
do. I think that area is quite
So,
disgraceful.
do you want to suggest a proportion, Councillor Lance? Do you want to propose?
Is this a constituted group?
I don't think it is.
It's an unregistered
He's
community
not
group.
registered.
So what?
I propose £1,000 of the grant,
Well, it's been there since 95.
not
Basically,
£4,000.
What are you chanting? I'm sorry, Charles, I can't hear you. I need to, can
So-
you talk through the chair?
Yeah, sorry, I was wondering whether it's actually a constituted group, but it says that it's from the established in 95.
Right, okay. So, we have a proposal to give them 1,000 rather than 4. Do we have a seconder?
Could I just
Hold on,
comment?
I'll let Andy.
Sorry, further discussion.
They are finding £1,000 this themselves from the committee funds, although they don't say how much reserve they have. So they are finding something. I think maybe 1,000 is a bit mean when they found 1,000 themselves already.
You can counteract it if you like.
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
just
say we
wondered
can-
if there was a bit somewhere in the middle.
It sort of seems slightly random that well,
Yeah.
we'll give them £1,000, we'll give them £2,000.
Well, it is a bit random, and it always will be, because in the end it comes down to our judgment on the day, and no two set of circumstances are ever identical, and it is a bit random.
Well, if we were to say 50%.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Yeah, that sort of makes more sense.
And it gets us where we want to be anyway, I think.
Did you say you'd second that?
I was going to say something. Some community groups we're on for. Sometimes the garden centre, sometimes donate flowers and so forth. I wonder if they have actually spoke to a garden centre, i.e. is it Totty's Garden?
Well, if we give them 50%, they can do that, and then they can have a fantastic flower garden.
It says turf, I've never heard of that before.
What?
No, it's quite,
Wildflower turf, rather than...
Yeah, it's all grand designs all the time.
Well, it is. But it's not on my budget.
No, it's people do roofs with it and all sorts.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, and it makes more sense than having everybody out there digging, planting 5,000.
Well, I did wonder.
And turf makes much more sense, and is for a small bunch of volunteers is kinder. Let's face it. We have a proposal. We have a seconder for 50%. All right.
So that's 2,020.
yeah.
We've got £13,310 left.
Could you, well, I'm going to go in there. I'm happy to donate them the topsoil for free.
Okay.
Well, that's great. Thank you, Councillor White.
That's what I'm saying. I wonder if
Right,
it's
so
quite difficult.
we've got.
20 ton of top.
We've got. Where
Yeah,
are
it's
we?
fine because I'm digging
One,
off for a
two,
60-foot
I
shed.
think- Can I just say,
30,000.
I think we need to stop having as much debate as we're having. I think we're discussing.
Apart from-
We've got 7 more of these, and then about 10 of the others to do.
I think we'll
So,
speed up though.
Can we all be a bit disciplined
Yeah.
and move on? Holly Business Association, the upkeep of defibrillators. Now, this came up in service provision. Just for your information, we discussed this. You were there, weren't you?
Yeah.
Service provision.
I'm
Jen was, and you were. In service provision, what we agreed was that, except for, and there are very few of these, defibrillators that we own, and there are probably only a couple of those, that we wouldn't give maintenance money, keeping it going money. We would help people to raise, if they were raising the funds to put them in the first place, we would consider those applications, but we would not any longer really look to support the ongoing costs of defibrillators, because there are a lot of them and ever increasing. Councillor Lyon?
So I worked for the ambulance service on the charitable fund, and we match funding. So you'd raise money for a defibrillator, we'd give you the cabinet and fit it and everything. And every time a defibrillator is used across the whole of the UK, it is then checked by a community first responder, whether it's privately owned or not, and serviced. So there is absolutely no justification, in my view, for that cost. So I move to refuse.
Well, it's not about new units, it's about the replacement batteries. So can you get them on that deal?
Yeah.
Hang on. That's at odds with what Councillor Kirby was saying in service provision.
Oh, it's only that I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
They were raising the money in Holland to try and replace batteries and replace some.
If you apply to Yorkshire Ambulance Service Charitable Fund, right, there's a form online, you can apply and they will replace defibrillator batteries. They service and maintain them after every
Do a
use.
bit better job of publicising this. There's parish councils all over paying for brand new batteries.
Anyway, that's not, in fact, anyway, I think
I'll give you a contact. You can
it's
email.
been proposed that we refuse this. Do we have a seconder? We have a seconder here with Andy. All those in favour of refusal?
I'll send you the contacts to get.
Well, send it to Business Association and all.
And we should send them a note saying, and Joe will give you all the details and we can let them know where it is you. Okay.
That should be common information.
Edens Forest CIC, £1,300 for a sheltered play and learning area. Any comments, any objections, anythings?
Could I just make a mental note? They are getting funding elsewhere, which is good, but they're getting it from Longley Show Fund. Just bear that in mind.
All right, I've noted.
So, do we want to give them the full amount? Yes or no? Quickly, come on.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those in favour of giving them all? Right. Friends of Honley.
I'm going again.
Friends of Honley, this is outdoor planting. This is Glenn's gone again.
This is Friends of Honley.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, this is Friends of Honley, which is slightly different from, you know, but as Charles said, they all speak to
Until
each
recently,
other.
it was Village Trust again.
And as he said, there are lots of different places in Home First. They just don't have indistinguishable names from each other, as Honley does. This is for planting trees, basically. Well, outdoor spaces.
Based on the previous one, we've given £2,000, I believe, to Hayden Edge. It would seem in order that we give this £1,500 towards Honley and share the wealth. So I would propose that we give the full amount to Honley.
Seconded by Councillor Lyons. All those in favour? Thank you.
Glenn?
Glenn, you can come back.
I can sleep now.
You're getting ruthless now, aren't you?
I'll stand out for you.
Okay. Close the door.
Go downstairs.
Hepworth United, 2,000 for storage for the club's equipment. Now again, I have the thing about it's really only,
I'm just checking that Rich agrees with me that so far we've spent £9,527.63 in grant money.
Well, I'm doing it in reverse, how much money we've got left.
How much have you got left?
£10,472.77.
I'm just going to kick off.
10,000, and these are
£20,040.
Well, that sounds close enough to me.
these last three add up to more or less what we've got if we choose to give them it all, and we don't have to. I'm not suggesting we should. And the Hepworth one, it seems to me it's just for the football club. I don't see any benefit to anybody else.
No. Just says we wish to replace a large metal storage.
Does anybody disagree? Do we want? Because we just turned down the cricket club for a very similar.
Again, if that's a precedent that we're going to uphold, it would seem only fair that we run that across the board.
Yeah.
You know, because we can't treat one differently, can we?
Yeah.
And without, again, as Joe pointed out, without clarification on the grants form as to what they need to put to better represent themselves in a grant application,
Yes.
we're kind of really drawn to
And
doing
we'll
it.
still be here in September.
Yeah. So I think that's good.
Okay, so we have a proposal to refuse this. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Charles. All those in favour? Right, thank you. Joe? We're done. I'm afraid it's been refused.
Not swimming on here.
Homeford Tech for improved entrance doors, but I didn't quite follow this because they seem to say ignore the first part of the application and only look at the second part halfway through. They changed their minds about doing the outer doors and they're only going to do the inner doors. So I got a bit lost on this one. Does anybody else?
I wonder if it's because whether it be listed or whether it be out of those are going to be a nightmare to change. I can't think what they look like.
They're going to, well, what they've decided to do is repair the outer doors and replace the inner doors. And the inner doors will become, if I remember rightly, easier if you're trying to get out if there's a fire. There's a problem, you need a code apparently at the moment to get out, which sounds, but it's, do we want to give any, do we want to give all, do we want to give some? Councillor Lyons.
I don't want to give anything because I just think every time it's it's the same, and we can't carry on hemorrhaging money, we can't even keep this building that we own in a state of decent repair, because we've got no money. So I just think that, I appreciate that they are a community building, but I think it's the wrong decision.
I was sort of on the same lines as Joe there. I think that sometimes that we're getting an awful lot of grants from the tech, or applications, but we're also getting the stealth grants from the tech, from people who use it for room hire, and the community there, so they seem to be running with both the hair and the hands on this
We
one.
haven't given any of those for quite a while.
So my concerns are how much more money we're going to put into the tech, and I've said before, my personal one, I'd like to see it spread across the valley, so I personally wouldn't like to see them get.
Okay, councillor.
Whatever you
Andy!
Andy.
Looking at the reserves, there's £25,000 in reserves, and they do say somewhere they'll use reserves if necessary. Well, I think if they're sat on 25,000.
And we have had applications that kind of green, things that made them greener and more efficient. And I mean, this would improve the drafts, but councillor.
Yeah, I think this is one of those where, again, it is almost a constant ask, but I do think, and in the past we've given them 100% grants. I think that's why I'm always been keen on the 50-50s, because I think that committed that some book their own. But I do think this is it's a valid request, and we do put a lot of money into this building, and the tech, tech serves a slightly different audience in Unfair. I'd be happy to propose I'd say 50%, I'd say 2,500. If there's anybody else who can
Have a
answer.
seconder for that?
I move to refuse.
I'll second that.
Hang on. We can't have two motions, two proposals at the same time. Yours was first, you want to refuse it all, and that's seconded. All those in favour of giving nothing? 3, 4. There was a second proposal to give 50%. Was that seconded? No. Right. So they're refused.
Yeah.
Just ask if anyone's got a clue about which cricket club before they come back.
I don't think so.
Oh,
Jimmy clearly has a thing about.
So, do you know what's happened here? Somebody at a cricket club gathering has said, we've done alright, haven't we?
The National Association of Cricket Clubs has alerted them.
We've all been sat in somebody's clubhouse.
Now, this was late, but it was only one day, and I think we all agreed at the beginning that we'd probably live with one day.
Yes.
And that's for solar batteries. Now, it may benefit only members, so I think they do have socials, but it does benefit the world.
Yeah, I have batteries, and that is quite a cheap battery bill, so they're clearly not taking the mick, are they? I move that it's green, it's with the trust, the values of the whatever.
Absolutely, we are for green energy stuff. So, are you proposing?
The full amount. Have we got the full amount? Oh, yeah, the full amount.
Seconded by Councillor Brooks. All those in favour? Passed. Okay, now we move on to the smaller.
Chair.
Oh, sorry.
Is this one where, I mean, so you've approved the grant, that's fine, but is this one where you would ask Case to consider?
Yeah, I think it is.
Ask what?
Ask Case to consider.
I think
Oh, right.
talking to Case, I think they've got a lot less. They've got a lot less leeway in terms of money they've got left
We
anyway.
gave it all back.
Should we ask Case for some of it?
You can ask, but it may. I mean, you've still got 5,000 left in your pot, and all of the assets grants are done now. So
Oh, for the year, yes. So.
if you commit to spend, if you ask them, but then say if they don't want to commit, the money's still
Right.
the money's
It's
still
there
in your
if
budget
they-
anyway. So
Just back in Richard, though, the case did make an effort to get rid of its earmark reserves and cut things down more finance than going for the budget this time, so it may well be they don't have those reserves left for
that's what I was told.
We haven't got any unless we give it all back.
And if it's in our budget anyway, why
Yeah.
would we
Yeah,
ask
well,
them?
that's,
Yeah, why
that's,
would
that's
we?
a fair point.
We can, yeah.
Yeah.
All we do is shift it around and point at the beginning. Okay, that's the big ones done. Now we move on to the smaller ones. The first one, I have to say I think it's just for the playing surface, it's for members only. And this is the one where they said they haven't had a grant for 3 years, and that's true, but 3 years and 10 minutes ago, they had £12,000. It's carved in my heart.
You'll be joining Jane's team and
No, I voted for it. I was a very new councillor. Charles?
I suppose one of the merits to this application is, and it is a bit of a rarity with some others we've seen, probably because the limit is £1,500, although you'd think this is almost capital works one, but they've only asked for 1,500 off of £8.5 grand. But perhaps if they'd sussed out that they should have submitted it as a capital one, they might have asked for a fine.
And it doesn't benefit the community, does
No,
it? It's just the players and the...
I think it's almost a bit, if we're not going to pay for equipment,
I mean, the
we
thing
really
is,
ought not to be paid for.
when we gave them 12 grand,
maintenance.
it was to install a footpath, to have lighting on a footpath, for the public, people to get in,
It is nice down there.
and disabled access and all sorts. I mean, they were doing kind of public things last time. I don't think this is. Do we have a proposal?
I propose refusal on grounds of the fact that it's club based and we've refused everything else, so to follow.
Second, do we have a second then?
Yeah, to be consistent.
No,
I
I
think.
said, all those for, against, thank you. Holmford Food and Drink Festival rubbish collection. I know we've discussed before that Holmford Food and Drink Festival should be looking to make themselves a bit more self-standing, but I don't see any benefit at all in our refusing this and them not having the money and us having to find other ways of clearing up a load of it. Andy?
Get the brain working. They have had a grant from us before for a similar thing,
For the same, yeah.
but then they give it away to other charities.
Yeah, we discussed that.
I was just thinking, why are we doing it? We might as well give it to the other charities in the first place.
That was when we talked about, they should be working towards, because it's unlike the film or the folk or the art festival, this could at least break even if it, with luck in the following week.
Don't they? And then they give it away.
But equally, if they are going to spend it, what we can say is, but we don't want to see your other reserves given to charities and things. We don't give, and this was in the January 2023 document, we do not give to fundraising, second-hand fundraising, because we've got no control over which charities or whatever it goes to. So I think we could put a caveat in saying we would not expect them to be making charitable donations with their profits when we've given them money.
Just I entirely agree with that, Chair. That's the first sensible idea, but I also think that we also carry the caveat that any money's left over, so they don't end up out of pocket, but any money's left over from that they're also returned to the parish council, so that there's no donations made and anything left over. So at the very best, they'll always break even. We don't want to see them out of pocket, but we don't want to see them making donations.
I guess one of the things is, with some of the events, it's quite helpful to know that you've got some costs covered.
Yeah.
And because weather-wise and whatever, you don't know where you're going to land. Sometimes you'll do well, some not. So actually, I kind of like the idea of saying, we'll give you the money to make sure you can go ahead. If you do well, then by, the first stop needs to be paying it back rather than dishing it out to somebody else. But if the surplus is even bigger than that, then that's theirs to choose from, I guess.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't hold it against them coming back next year to say, can we have another 1,500? If we do well, we'll return it, and if we don't, I kind of think that's a sensible way to go forward, because nobody wants to see this not happen.
Yeah, I think the
Jane.
fact that it's for refuse collection and street cleaning after the festival, I think that's something
It's got to be done.
that the parish council should be supporting. Why not?
But what they did last time,
No, I remember.
Right. It seems this
They only gave us
council.
the food back.
I know there's a good cause, we
I understand what
we
you're
all
saying,
said the food bank is
So if you give it back to us,
No, no, I
and then
get
we
it,
can
yeah.
give it to them when the food bank, when they make a grant
Yes,
application.
exactly, Joan.
I move to Jamie's suggestion that we say and second it, that basically we say to him, this is how much we're giving you for cleaning up, whatever you've got left over, can we have it back? So that we can, do what we wish with it.
Are you clear about that?
I think we've covered those points. I mean, this is the second time, and really, I'd have been expecting this time that they'd have said, let's not give this money away, let's hang on to it, then we don't have to come back to the parish council.
Well, yes,
They've
if
given
they
it away again.
even if they don't return it, if they, I mean, and it's hard to say that the Food and Drink Festival should not have given a contribution to the food bank, isn't it? It was the food bank they gave it to. It was.
I'm happy one and HDI music. I don't quite.
But let's stick with what we're saying and see if we can make it stick. I mean,
I
If
think
we
we
say
just
that-
need to be really clear with them about that. You know?
Yeah.
of course, we admire the gesture, but we don't give out grants for those to be given to charities afterwards, where we had no part of the decision to give to that charity.
Yeah,
Jane?
so I think what they're saying is that not that they've necessarily made a donation of £500 from our own money, that
Yeah.
in effect, you know, they've got that money and they kindly then decided to.
Yes.
It could be.
And we're saying, well, kindly don't.
Well, kindly give it us back.
Kindly don't give it
It
us
may
back.
be our money.
Well, they want our money, whether you like, whether you
Or kindly hang on to it.
well,
next year,
hang on to it for
yeah.
next year and just come
And
back
ask
for
for a grant.
1,000 instead of 1,500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of giving away money that.
When you're in
you-
profit, when you're in profit, you can give donations, or the individual businesses involved can give donations.
I mean, they gave away the exact sum, didn't they? £500 each to the food bank, Cafe 100 and HD9 Music.
And the thing is
So
though,
they gave
that,
away what we gave them.
yeah, and that's our
There could be
taxpayers.
somebody else that gave 1,500 as well. Anyway.
Anyway, if we can make it stick, then
Yeah.
it's fine, isn't it?
Okay.
Can we do it if they agree, then we'll give them the money, and if they don't agree, then we won't?
Okay.
Yeah?
Mike, what else do we want knock on the pavement? Just before we finally agree to that.
Well, they will agree, won't they, because they'll need it to clean the streets, won't they? But what we're saying is if you make a massive profit, 'cause it might be a flop, the weather might be crap.
Yeah, they can lose money, they
Yeah,
could.
do you know what I mean? But if you make a profit, we'd like the money, don't give it away, we'd like the money back so we can redistribute it.
Yes.
Next year, you're more than welcome to come back for it
Yes.
next year, but maybe it's a rolling grant on that condition.
I think that Jane.
I just think that sounds weird, really. I mean, if as a festival they ended up making a profit, then we're saying to them, then you can't then make a donation. It could be that some people are coming
Yeah.
along with that in their
I
heads.
think they
that
might,
Some of the money
but we gave them 1,500 last year. They gave away 1,500 to food banks, and they're coming back for 1,500.
So maybe we should just refuse it then if we can't make it work.
They
I
could have kept that
disagree.
1,500
But anyway, yeah.
pound,
I disagree.
and then not approach them.
It seems a bit sort of
Oh, I think it's-
churlish, really.
I don't think you're just understanding what I'm
I do understand what you're saying. I understand exactly what
She
you're
wants
saying.
that,
I
and
understand.
she disagrees with us.
I
It's
don't
not
know.
that she doesn't understand.
So I'm going to make a comment here, and it may not go down what I'm going to say anyway. So there are groups who are applying for grants who don't give the money away, just when they make a profit, they just stick it in the bank and don't and come back for another grant next year.
Yeah.
So,
But then we look at the reserves, don't we, and say, we've already got that money.
Yeah, but this group, hang on, this group is comprised of commercial organisations who are businesses who are there to make a profit. This is not like the Folk Festival
So-
or the Art Week, or this is a series of businesses. The people who come in with the stalls are businesses, the local businesses. So
I'm not in disagreement with what you're saying. I think if they're making a profit, they shouldn't be giving it away, they should be coming back. All I'm saying is, what they'll do next time is that we don't ask what profit groups are making as part of the grant evaluation.
yes,
We've got
we
to say what
do.
profit.
Yes, we do. We have their
We do,
accounts.
but
We get their accounts.
But we're also, you know, they're asking for us to pay for very specific things. We're asking them for receipts to show that that's where the money's gone. So that's kind of taken care of in a sense.
Yes.
That those two things are. You can't just put it in a bank account and not spend that money because they are supplying us.
I totally agree. But how much, when they're selling tickets for events, do they tell you how much they've made?
That's a different point though. That's a different point.
And the answer is yes, we do get their accounts.
Well,
We do.
we do, but we don't say to them, have you given any money away? You know, that's what once to somebody else.
And then come back to us.
Yeah. But this is a slightly different one because it's semi-commercial. I've always seen it that we're helping underwrite the event itself.
Yeah.
And if they do well, the kind of expectation would be, it's a bit like the Homely Show, is if they do well, you'd expect them to hold the money back so they can make sure that they can
Cover it for next year.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it does seem
To
almost
invest
strange
in the
that
following year.
they give the money away, because if you give all your money away, then you go and say, I'm skinned.
Yeah. Because the fact is, I mean, when they had that terrible, where it just chucked it down all weekend a couple of years ago, they made nothing.
Yeah.
And, you know.
So they need reserves.
they
They
need-
should be,
they need
if they were
reserves to cover the
responsible,
weather.
they should be putting that money aside, not giving it to good causes, however good. Jenny?
You just look back to what we've said are our targets for the council. One of them is to promote tourism
Yeah.
as it benefits the town, and I think it is beneficial for Homefirth to have this festival.
Yeah.
And I think for us to be seen to supporting it is good for the council.
We've agreed we're giving them the money. We're talking about any caveats we add to
We're
it.
just saying, don't give it away to someone else.
Can I
I
just-
agree with that.
Can I say, in principle, I think we can also agree to £1,500 should go towards the food festival, and that it should be held as a catch-all safety net for them, so they don't go over cost at the end of it there. Obviously, anything they make over that money, they could return that or apply to keep it in budget as reserves for next year. I think I would propose that that's the way we go with it there, so they get the money and they have obviously the caveats that we've said along the way to make sure that money's spent and saved wisely for next year.
Yeah.
So that's what I propose.
Do we have the ability to do that?
Second.
I mean, I suppose so. I mean, it does make things rather complicated.
I agree.
We
If
could-
if
we
we can't
could-
do it.
We can make it, we might not be able to make it a caveat, but we could say there was some concern last year when the amount we gave as a grant was given away, albeit to good causes, after the festival, rather than put into reserves for future food festival. We can't say you can have this only if, I suspect, but we can express a concern.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I think perhaps, because we would, I would think, be considering these for a rolling grant, and it's whether the rolling grant in the context of what you're arguing is, if all you're doing is basically funding their charity donations as a year on year,
Then we're not doing it, yeah.
maybe.
We'll give our own charity
Yeah, might as well just give
donations.
1,500 quid every grant series to Phil Bank, I'm alright with that. Do you know what I mean? I'm not against that idea, but we want to make that decision, don't we? We don't want
Yeah.
someone else to take the glory of giving the money away when we...
Yeah.
Seconded.
All those in favour? Right. Friends of Cliffwreck. I'm very confused. I thought they had a beacon and then they didn't have a beacon, then they didn't want a beacon, and now they're saying, I've lost track of Cliffwreck's beacon.
I think there was a proposal that there would be 2 beacon lightings, but there's only 1 beacon. The beacon's supposed to be...
No,
on
I
the
mean the Cliffwreck one. They definitely,
They've got
theirs
their
was
own beacon.
damaged and ruined.
It's finished. It needs to be erected.
No, that's fine.
No, it's fine, it's
We
downstairs.
paid to repair the Cliff
Right.
Rank one.
But they want another one now.
No, this is the event.
This is the
Very
event.
event.
Do you want the money for the event?
Sorry, I think I got...
Chair, can you
Ongoing
propose,
expenditure.
Sorry, Andy, I can't.
can you propose that we approve this grant?
That we approve it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but do we have a second?
Yeah,
All those in favour? Right.
Trimmer training, I'm off.
What are we getting in?
Don't even sound it
with all this up and there.
You need a pedometer on, you've probably done 10,000 steps.
I think probably next time they might might suggest that all the Homer Village community
Do them together, yeah.
I was going to say that we do all the Homley Village
I think we have
Community
to do that.
It's a bit late to bloody see it now.
never mind.
We should have done that. We were all slow off the mark on that one.
Anyway, can we-
Okay, back to me. This is for a brush cutter and trimmer training, which is self-explanatory. Do we have a proposal? Do we have any objection?
Approve it.
Approved?
Seconded.
Seconded. All those in favour? Right.
Don't
Glenn!
stop in the field. All the,
It's
We
approved.
should do it to music, shouldn't we?
All there.
And then,
can I propose this?
are we on the? Just a minute. Which one are you looking? Wolfdale Community, right.
57.
Okay, proposed. Do we have a seconder?
Yeah, that is next.
Do all those in favour?
It's a mum and babies group in it, there isn't enough of them.
Right,
Could this
that's
be a rolling
approved.
one?
Sorry?
Could this be a rolling one?
Could this be a rolling one?
They might not
Well,
be any
we
babies
don't
next
know.
year.
We don't know. We can't. But at the moment, the part of the application,
I suppose that
I think we need to be careful here. Part of the application said we can't afford the rent. Now, if they've got an organisation where they can't afford the rent and they've got no plans for finding a way of raising their own fees or something, we can't just say, well, we'll give them rolling ground. If it's
Perhaps
for-
review it next year.
Sorry?
Perhaps review it year on
Review
year.
it next year for the time being.
Yeah, I think the thought process behind the rolling grants were for the long-term well-established,
Yes, that's right.
constantly
Not for
recurring
people
ones
who
where we know-
can't afford
where we
to
know
run the
what's
club they're trying to run.
We've given a grant to them for the last 2 years, and that's it.
Who's that? These
This
people?
group,
Yeah. I think they need to consider finding another venue or charging a fee or something.
It's a good venue, isn't it, though?
Well, it's their problem. The Climate Action Partnership, a local food awareness event at the Food and Drink Festival.
Why are we, why?
Well, it would benefit people like you. Well, you don't grow food, do you?
I do grow food.
But just make people aware of food miles and things. And
I propose that we
you propose.
approve it.
Do we have a seconder? Joe, all those in favour? Right.
How much we got left?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to go. 4 to go.
We have £1,830 left.
That's all right.
5. That's not quite enough for all of these if we decide to do
It's
it.
all right, don't worry. Right, Glenn.
I've got one in mind that I've got doubts about. But actually, Glenn, go out for the next 3.
Just call me back in when you're ready.
Yeah. You're not on Holly Show Committee as well, are you?
No.
Okay, there are 3 here. They're very similar. There are 2 for Easter things for children and 1 for floral workshops. And I know that I feel that the Easter things for children are more worthy than the floral workshops.
Yes, I agree with that.
And I think,
Is it one or the other then?
Hmm?
Is it one or the other?
no, we
That's
could
right.
support all of them. I'm giving you my opinion, sorry. So we'll do them one at a time. But, sorry, Andy.
Could I suggest that maybe they should be making a charge for the materials, or something of a charge? I mean, this is just,
Which one are you talking
well,
about?
all 3 really, they're all the same thing.
Well, I think
We don't,
the kids, it's intended for kids who haven't got any money. It's on the edge of the roundway. Which is, I mean, it used to be council housing. It was probably very little of it is now.
well, surely we don't limit it to kids that don't,
No, they don't make them prove they're poverty stricken. No.
But surely a contribution, if you were going for, you get something off them.
Yeah, like a donation. So, for example, the local community centre near me, it's in Barnsley, so I can say this now. That basically they just like ask for donations of about £1.
I think they do.
Yeah, there's some.
Jane.
For some families, you know, £1 per child might.
Yeah, I've got 3 kids, that's nearly a fiver. It's ridiculous, Jane.
No, exactly. I mean, for some families, they wouldn't be able to afford that. That might be that money for their, you know, for food for the weekend or for a day or whatever.
Charles?
I can't see why we expect the kids to pay.
So I'm happy to give the full amount. I'm with Jim. I think actually they do ask for donations, but it's that bit of the ask rather than it being a charge.
Yeah.
So they do it kind of discreetly, if you like. And I think,
I think it's
You
a
know.
good thing to do, the children's thing. It's just, not sure about the flower works.
so I'm happy to propose the full amount.
For 1 and 2?
Yes.
Well,
there's 3 things here. Well, look at the first one. Full amount for the first one, which is the craft workshop.
crafting, I'm happy to propose
All
the full amount.
those, okay, we have a second. All those in favour of that? Right. The second one is the tea party. All those in favour of the full amount? It's the children's tea.
Oh, it's the children's
Right,
tea,
yeah,
again.
Right. Now, then we've got the
the
floral
Do you
workshop.
want to say something?
Oh, James,
Well, I just think these 3 do go together, because I think seeing that Hobley Community Centre being established is really important because of where it is, etc. And I think we automatically think of the children, but I think there are that other group of mums and older people who benefit hugely from it as well. So I think if we can only afford 2, we give 1 for the east of the children and 1 for the other.
I think I would say, by way of information, they're going to pay a florist £45 an hour to lead this
I think
workshop.
that's ludicrous.
Yes, and that is what they want the money for. And I think I know which supplier it'll be, though we don't know this for sure, but this is people who've applied in their own right for grants when they run their own workshops. Now that may not be the case in this instance, I can't, but they are paying a florist £45 an hour to run this.
Just on the floral workshop there, in line with what you just said there, I think it's quite expensive for what we're looking at there now, so I think that we've got to have the wider coverage as the children's group club, the children's tea party and the crafting there, so I would be of a mind to propose the first 2, we give a full amount to refuse the floral workshop.
Okay. Do we have a seconder to that? Yep. All those in favour of that? Put your hands up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in favour. All those against?
I'm abstaining.
And abstentions, right. So that's, so it's, we're giving for the kids and not the wreaths. Glenn!
Oh, Richard, how many? Got 880 quid left.
Right. So if we want to, we can give the full amount to one we should.
Just to clarify that £45 is per hour for the instructor. That £45 is per attendee.
Attendee.
Yeah.
That's what it says. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think it's.
So 10 attendees, that's £450.
Bloody hell, it's cheaper to go to Marks and Spencer's.
We're booking for that.
No, they
So the
teach you how to do it.
Oh, don't they?
Okay.
So the other 15 quid is for materials, and then there's
It's,
room
and
there.
I've got my suspicions
I
as to.
think it was the same with the wreathing thing at Christmas.
Well, it's the same people, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like that. I'd like to write a book. Do you want to pay me to write a book that I'd like to write?
Oh yeah, that's
I'll
all
let
that.
you read it.
Over business map.
So, Glenn, we've approved the 2 children's one and not the wreaths one.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I think they're a bit cheeky asking for village hall hire when they own it, to be honest, but that's just my opinion.
Well, well, some of these I wonder how, you know, as we're saying with the structure of the village trust, I wonder how much some of these are actually in and some are
I wonder if
On
there's
the
enough-
edge of, and I'm
I think
comfortable with the on the
The
edge of one.
stuff they do in the kids' holidays is valuable and done as cheaply as they can, and is done genuinely, you know, to,
I can't help but think that this should have been an application made by a CIC, the underlying CIC or the operator, in which case we wouldn't have
are you
even
talking about the
considered
kids' party or the wreath?
the re-
Oh, the wreath, yes.
we
and
wouldn't
the
have
last
even
time
considered
we
it, I
did-
think, would we?
Last time at Christmas it was from the underlying CIC, and we weren't convinced.
Yeah, it was expensive, wasn't it? It was
It
ridiculous.
was 45 quid a head.
It was ridiculous.
Right, a late application, it is late. Oh, Andy, sorry.
Am I? On the show, late one, yeah.
Go on then,
Yeah,
Andy.
it's late.
They've got reserves
it's,
of £220,000.
How much?
They've given away £400 to Eden Forest, and then they want £500.
I know to refuse.
I think we should refuse it.
And are we giving them, is the sponsorship of 1,000 going to happen, do we think?
Yeah, we usually pay for an ad in the programme, which is which is fine.
They've
It's a
crossed it
different
off, haven't
matter, and we benefit from that.
I have to say, I think we get better value from sponsoring the programme and being seen to sponsor the event, and then they can spend that money on whatever they think is important, rather than the I think it might be a little bit marginal.
A cycle rack.
Well, I get the point. They want to encourage people, because you get bikes stolen, they are stolen. You must be well aware.
Just not based on Andy Wilson's point out the fact they've got so much money in reserves.
Yeah.
It would seem a little bit cheeky to be asking us for £500. So I would second your proposal that we refuse it.
All those in favour of refusal? That's most of us, yes. Okay, that's the end of the grants.
Can I ask Isaac to come back in? No. Isaac!
Yes, we must be just in.
We've got about 5,500 left in other community assets, we've got 880 left in projects and grants.
But if we overspend, we normally ask Chair and Deputy Chair to chip in.
I think it's about
And if
maybe
we
3,500 or
And
something.
then if we understand,
It goes back in the back.
Very good. Christmas party on you.
Yes. Lunch in Paris for us all.
Paris schools, that'll be.
Yeah. Which is pronounced Paris, isn't it, or something?
There's a chip
Something
shop
odd.
up there, so that probably is.
Okay, let's crack on. We've done quite a lot in quite a short time, but let's crack on. Noting the chair's expenses, that expenditure is still me going to that dinner in Meltham. To consider approving the month-to-date schedule of payments, which you have ZG.
yeah, so there's only really 3 things that need approving. As you can see, there's a year's articles in Hepworth Focus, there's 6 payment signs that the planning committee have purchased for use by local schools, and then we recently had the valuation done of the Civic, that cost us nearly £600, so it's just those 3 you're approving.
For those of you who haven't heard, the Civic has been valued to replace that £9.75 million.
Get it sold.
What?
It's worth about 9p to sell it. You can't, it's unsellable.
Oh my God.
Oh, and a great big gaping hole in roof. Could you
There's
imagine
going to be
what it
Paris
was?
council arguing around with
It's
Petrol
listed,
left, right and
it's
centre.
listed to rebuild it as it is. And of course the insurance premiums now are massive.
Apparently Weatherspoons were interested, but the toilet's not far enough away.
It used to be round the corner outside.
Teacher with a bit of loan first.
Okay, I have to initial this schedule of payments,
Yeah, we'll do that.
and they'll be attached to the 6th. Now we're noting, and these are things you've had, and you have of course looked at, but ZH and we'll do ZH first. One, the financials, the accounting summaries, December 2023 noted. Noted. For January 2024, noted.
Noted.
We've got to check all the bank conciliations and everything. I saw you doing all of that. Yeah. So that's been done.
No, you need to do it. You need to sign it. And check
Oh,
it
I've got to sign it.
for something different.
The chair and the vice chair, you've got to sign it as well. We need to review the draft income and expenditure. Do you want to talk about this?
Yeah. I mean, I think I've said everything that I was intending to say, but I can certainly go through it. Well, as it reads, salaries will be somewhat over. Obviously, there was a national pay award and there were individual performance-based uplifts, so that will be a little over. And as you can see, staff training is rather a lot over. We're at 135.8% of budget. That's because both me and Jen are doing the Silca this year. If we'd realised at the start of the year we could have dealt with it, because we were meant to put an extra £800 into the budget, but we didn't notice that until the budget was reset, so that was our mess up really.
Have we allowed for Gemma doing something expensive next year?
Yeah.
Right.
And then the insurance was over budget at the start of the year, and then we had the topograph, so that was extra money, and then we've had this £10 million valuation of the Civic, so
I
that's,
could knock it down.
so that's put another, we've had a bill for another £400, which is a bit unclear about whether it just applies for the rest of this,
It will be,
Yeah.
until the end of the...
so that's until May, so it's going to mean we've probably got an extra £2,000 or so, maybe a little less, little under £2,000 on the insurance for next year, so that's going to be somewhat over, which is rather disappointing. And then the other bits, you can see I've just mentioned about the Civic Hall and the roof situation. We'll probably need to do something in terms of earmarking the underspend, because it doesn't seem likely that we're going to get the roof done this financial year, does it? And
No, can't see it being.
so we'll need to consider that in the March meeting about whether we earmark it in some way.
Does that mean that we have to get full council to get it
Yeah.
back out again?
Yeah,
But we can earmark it?
yeah. Yeah, I know it's a mess, but you know we.
I mean, it doesn't matter, as long as we know.
If we
How
needed
long-
it in a hurry, we could have an extraordinary full council meeting of some sort. If it
We've
was
got a
necessary.
SSC meeting this next week.
Well, if you can
we might
resolve
have
it
to be
before
better
then, if you
steer
can
on it.
resolve it before then we can perhaps spend it all.
I'm not saying that, but we
No,
might
no,
have
no.
a clearer indication of when it will happen.
Yeah. Okay. And then I just made the point about, you know, Christmas provision was a bit over. We know that Kirklees charged rather more than we were expecting in terms of the trees this year, and the New Mill Churchyard will be a little over, but then most of the other budget lines were not too bad.
So you say to consider any further actions. Are there actions we need to take?
I don't think so, other than, like I've said, we need to be aware about the situation with the money for the roof.
Right.
When the annual parish meeting comes round, we might need to do something.
Right. The earmarked reserves look reasonably straightforward. Does anybody have any queries on those? Do you have any actions you feel we should be taking?
Not
No.
really.
So are we happy to move on
I
from
think
that?
what Andy was wanting
What
to
about us playground one?
Yeah, well, the 15,000, I don't think they got round to doing it at Case the other day, so I think it was handed over to the next meeting.
So it's service provision, what?
Oh, sorry, not Case, there was.
Yeah, so, I've written on behalf of the committee to Kirklees to ask them to, you know, sort of basically say that they're not looking to work in partnership with us at all over that 15,000, but we didn't get a response. In any case, it's service provision. The item was deferred because we just didn't have time to discuss it. But in fact, there was nothing to discuss because we haven't had a definite answer from Kirklees.
Jen, was that before Christmas you sent that email? Because I think I remembered it before Christmas.
I've lived several lives since then.
I think it was before
Yeah,
Christmas.
it's been some time, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, verbally,
yeah.
Councillor Crook said, don't use it.
Yeah.
That's only verbal.
We just wanted the written confirmation, you know, to sort of close it off really.
But are we looking to put that back into reserve?
Yeah, we were looking, that's what was suggested, wasn't it?
But we can do that when they contact us. Councillor Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, can it just be sort of, can it still be earmarked as sort of youth services, something like
We
that?
can
You
leave
can
it.
mark it as whatever you like when it comes to it.
Rather than just in the book.
Do we want to shift it from general to youth?
I thought that we'd had a conversation where they said that we'd had a full council meeting where we were talking about finances, and Lawrence had said that he was happy for it to go back in general reserve.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
It was happening, we didn't discuss it, at the last meeting it didn't get discussed.
No, I mean,
It ran out of time.
Finance.
It was going to be discussed.
I don't think we should be looking to find ways of spending it.
No, it just needs to go back in, doesn't it?
Back in and then next year.
And then when you need it, just ask for it and just pull it back out.
Can we leave it where it is
Of course.
until we're a bit clearer?
You can, I mean, an earmark reserve is meant to be for a purpose, so if you're
Right.
leaving it in
With you.
playgrounds and you're
Yeah.
not going to use it for a playground, that's
Right.
a bit iffy.
Could
You and then Jen.
Could I suggest that we perhaps, sorry Jen, could get in touch with the council and just do one last check with them there. If there's no interest in taking it upon for the playground or the joint project there, that we then revert back
Discuss
to the
where we want to
Yes,
put it.
so we're absolutely clear on that. Is that
I'll
possible?
forward the email I sent tomorrow saying, can we have an answer?
Perfect, thank
Can
you.
you put on, if you don't answer by next Friday, we're going to say.
If you don't answer by next Friday, we're spending it
Good,
on
at least we won't get mail
tinsel.
next Friday.
Do you know what I mean though? It's just ridiculous, isn't it? Like it was before Christmas. Like we're not
Yeah.
hanging around. You either want the money or you don't.
But there's like one person doing 20 people's jobs down there.
What do you get paid? 20 people's job, well, you don't get paid for any jobs. And
That's
still
true.
Jen does it.
Jen does get paid.
Yes, she does, but clearly not enough.
Handsome money.
She's not here in modern slavery.
Like the rest of us.
Just put that in the minutes, Rich, and Jen doesn't get paid for that.
I'm going to remember Andy saying you were paid handsomely. That will go in a minute.
Yeah, it might end up in minutes that Deputy Clyde will get paid.
Jane.
Okay, it was going to be discussed at the service provision meeting, but we ran out of time.
That's
So
right. It was on the agenda.
It was on the agenda and it never got discussed, so I would suggest that.
Well, if Jen can resend the email and we
should have the
will
opportunity to discuss
bring
it.
it back to service provision.
Yeah, I think it has
I
to
think
be.
that was.
I
that was the
can't see
idea.
any alternative really.
No, that's right.
We do want to shift it, and it is earmarked, and we fully intend to earmark it. It's not as though we're just calling it earmarked and lying because we want to keep it.
No.
No, it was for a
It's be-
purpose.
it's
It's
because
just
they
It's
that
for a
purpose
purpose,
as well.
and it will be for a different purpose, shortly. I don't want you to minute that, Jen. Mind you, I'm being filmed, so it'll be me going to prison. Tenancies. You've mailed out all the packs. We're just noting. We're mailing out the packs and that we're seeking to let Garside buildings. Insurance, we've heard. It's a lot more. There's nothing at all you can do about insurance. You have to have it. Especially when the building's worth 9 and 3/4 million.
Tell them to sort that out if you want. You want to tell
No,
them.
no, but it would actually probably cost that much, but you couldn't sell it for 9pence. Internal control, Joe has done it.
We need to, because it came up on our audit about, we need to actually approve the insurance. Now,
All right.
what the auditor wanted me to do was to go out and go around lots of insurance people and get new quotes. As I said at full council, it's very difficult getting quotes when we've got a roof that's falling apart So I just for now, I would just like to approve who we're using currently, to approve that. I think they've been very good. They're already dealing with the problem of the flooding from a house over there, which is destroying downstairs and the main hall downstairs. And then once the roof is fixed next year, I will be looking for
We can
new,
look for
new
competitive
insurers.
quotes.
Yes,
Right.
exactly. So if you don't mind, I'd just like to get you to approve that
Right.
we use the existing provider.
All those in favour?
Thank you very much.
Who is the existing provider? Is it with?
No, it's not. It's well, it's with Town and Country, a broker in Huddersfield. They've been very, very good.
You won't be able to get a quote in on the roof anyway.
No, exactly.
Minus that.
Exactly.
Okay, internal control check has happened. I witnessed the end of it.
I'm really sorry about that. I'm slightly busy and got slightly distracted by a filming crew on Friday, so I didn't get down on Friday, but I have done it, and everything's fine as normal. Yeah, I did flag a few like personal issues up, but it's fine. I'm over it. It's all right. Yeah, it's all right. You missed it. So,
Okay, we're nearly there. Banking, you need to approve the letter that Rich has drafted.
You don't, yeah, I mean, you can consider it. I mean, whether you think it's good enough, that's down to you. It was just a way around, because if you might remember originally we asked for a business plan.
Yes,
I
that's
got in
right.
contact with them and they said, we don't need a business plan. Just give us a letter that defines your business and what you do and where the money goes.
Are you happy with that letter?
yeah.
Do we approve it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
What's this one?
So this is about the as a
Yes,
staffing
yes.
committee.
Yeah.
You may be or may not be aware. At the moment, I pay everything. I'm the only person with the skills to pay anything. I think there were concerns that if for whatever reason I was unable to do it, it would be rather problematic. So we've been upskilling the assistant clerk over the last couple of months, and she's been really good with it. But to access the system, she needs her own login and she needs one of these gizmos from HSBC. So it was just basically for you to approve her to get the login and the gizmo.
All those in favour? Approved.
Thank you very much.
Financial websites have been, the financial records have been added to the website, publicising the work of the Home Valley. I would suggest that when we have finalised, I mean there may be stuff we want to publicise about today, but when we have finalised the the grants working thing, that we might be able to make a press release out of that that clarifies what you can apply for.